This is part one of a two-part training designed to help local PTAs host hybrid meetings and events like speaker presentations and panel discussions. National PTA strongly suggests you view both parts, since part two of this training will build on the information found here in part one. A comprehensive handout is available with additional information, and we suggest you download that handout after you view both videos. Hybrid is here to stay, and it should be. Think about the last time life got in the way of PTA, when your babysitter didn't show up, or your child had a soccer game, or you had to work late. You couldn't attend your PTA event because there was no option. Some of your members have never been able to attend a PTA event face-to-face for physical, personal, or work-related reasons. They've always needed an option, and Hybrid provides options. PTAing the hybrid way levels the playing field. Hybrid combines virtual and in-person, and it opens PTA to everyone, everywhere. Hybrid PTAing is about equity and inclusion. Hybrid is not the same as simply live streaming an event or a meeting. Hybrid means everyone, no matter how they attend your event, has an equitable experience. No group is more important. All attendees are together experiencing the same event or meeting. Virtual and in-person events are two halves of a whole running simultaneously. Everyone can hear and be heard, see and be seen, and participate. Nothing happens in either the virtual or in-person world that cannot happen in both. Successful hybrid events and meetings require planning in two main areas, and they are both equally as important: technology and facilitation. Great technology without effective facilitation makes for a poor hybrid experience, and even the best facilitators struggle when proper technology isn't available. For that reason, National PTA strongly recommends you view both parts of this training. They are two parts of a whole. Part one focuses on technology and part two focuses on facilitation. The handout contains a deeper dive into both. Let's define meeting versus event. It's an important distinction for this training and for your planning. A meeting brings together a board, committee, or the general membership to vote and take action, and minutes are kept as part of the permanent record of the association. An event does not require voting. The distinction is important. Many PTAs may need to hold no more than one general membership meeting all year, but may still want to host regular gatherings for their general membership, and we will call these events. Some PTAs host an event followed by a short board meeting. Check your bylaws to determine how often your PTA must meet. The same basic strategies apply to successful hybrid meetings and hybrid events, but hybrid meetings come with 3 warnings. First, be careful. Not all PTAs are allowed by state law, state PTA bylaws, or local PTA bylaws to conduct business and vote in a hybrid setting. So contact your state PTA before you host a hybrid meeting to be sure you can do so. Second, decide how you will vote at your meeting and if specific technology is required. There'll be more about this a little bit later in this training. And third, Robert's Rule says that everyone must hear each other to engage in debate at a meeting. So be sure that you pay close attention to the sound portion of your technology. You will now hear a story, and to take full advantage of the next few slides, please pause this recording and find a pencil and paper or another way to take notes. Go ahead, do it now. As you listen to the scenario, focus on the technical side of what is happening. Can everyone hear and be heard, see and be seen, and fully participate? Where is technology working and where is it not? Immerse yourself in the story and think about the experience of the virtual and in-person attendees. Ready? Evergreen PTA is a school-based K-8 PTA, and tonight they're hosting a family mental wellness event in Evergreen School's multipurpose room. Kyle and Joe are ready to leave for the event, when their youngest child throws up dinner. Joe decides to stay home. Kyle heads out the door as Joe finds the Zoom link in the Evergreen PTA event invitation. Kyle arrives at the in-person event, greets a few people, and takes a seat. Kyle sees a laptop on the table in front of the room, but cannot see the laptop screen or hear anything coming out of the computer. At home, Joe signs into Zoom, says hello to people in Zoom boxes, and waits. Joe can hear a rumble from the in-person event, but cannot see anyone there. The event begins. Joe hears someone's voice say, "Welcome, everyone. There's a sign-in sheet going around and also a handout for this event that includes a place for you to take notes." Kyle, who's in the room, signs in, grabs a handout, and passes the pile of paper to the next person. Joe unmutes and says, "What about the people on Zoom?" and then places that same question in the chat box and gets no reply. So how is Evergreen PTA doing so far in providing an equitable experience for both the in-person and virtual attendees? Now is a good time to start taking notes. Pause this recording if you haven't done so already. The event continues, and Joe can now see Evergreen PTA's president in one of the Zoom boxes and listens as he introduces tonight's guest speaker. The speaker's voice is loud and clear, and Joe is relieved to know that the speaker is mic'd. The speaker asks for a show of hands on how many families have seen signs of stress over the past 6 months. Kyle and Joe both raise their hands. The speaker looks out at the people in the room and says, "That's about 2/3 of you." Joe doesn't see the speaker glance at the computer screen and wonders if the speaker noticed that every virtual attendee's hand went up. Joe unmutes and asks, but no one responds. Later, Kyle joins a few others at a table when the speaker asks the people in the room to break into small groups and talk about the strategies that their families have successfully used to alleviate stress. After some discussion, Kyle begins to write the group's ideas on the easel pad provided as instructed, and suddenly remembers Joe. Kyle asks the speaker the same question Joe wrote in the chat box more than 5 minutes ago. The speaker says, "Oh, if you're on Zoom, chat among yourselves." After about 15 minutes, Kyle watches the speaker walk around and read a few strategies from each of the easel pads in the room. Joe hears this, but cannot see the pads. Joe unmutes again and asks if anyone wants to hear what the virtual attendees have to say, and gets no response. When the event is over, the PTA president thanks everyone for attending as he passes out evaluation forms. Kyle fills one out and leaves. The PTA president steps in front of the laptop, waves at what is left of the virtual audience, and ends the Zoom event. Kyle heads to the car, a bit disappointed. The event was good, but Kyle wishes there had been interaction with the Zoom attendees. Joe walks away from the laptop, feeling shortchanged, even though the information shared was helpful. Okay, so what did you write in your notes? Was this a true hybrid event? Did Joe and Kyle have an equitable experience? Were they able to see and be seen, hear and be heard, and participate? Before we move on, take a moment to pause this video and jot down your ideas on how Evergreen PTA could have used technology so that both Joe and Kyle benefited equally. Let's start with what Evergreen PTA did right from a technology standpoint. First, they provided a virtual way to attend, even if it wasn't truly hybrid. Second, they mic'd their speaker and they used a laptop to ensure virtual attendees could see the presenter most of the time. And while we can't be sure it happened, it appears that Evergreen PTA signed in early enough to ensure that technology was working. Did you note any other positives? Kyle and Joe were both disappointed. Evergreen PTA promoted this as a hybrid event, but no real thought appeared to go into using technology to bring the virtual and in-person audience together as a single group. Kyle and Joe expected to have the same basic experience, but they did not. A virtual facilitator could help, and that's a facilitation strategy that we'll discuss in part 2 of this training. But technology could have helped as well. First, forget about paper. Evergreen PTA could have asked all attendees to bring a device to the face-to-face event. They could have placed their agenda, handout, and evaluation in a cloud-based folder like Google Drive or Box and sent that link along with the invitation to everyone so everyone had access. Knowing that they would brainstorm, Evergreen PTA could have used a spreadsheet in that same cloud drive for notes, or they could have used a cloud-based whiteboard like Whiteboard Fox, which is free, or Miro, which has a small monthly fee. And by the way, fees are okay. PTAs are allowed to pay fees for technology to run successful hybrid events. All that technology could have leveled the playing field. What about seeing and being seen? Hybrid means everyone sees and hears each other. If this was a smaller meeting where everyone could gather around a table, Evergreen PTA could have placed a laptop on a table with the camera aimed at the in-person group, and everyone could have seen and heard each other. And there's an example of this type of setup in part 2 of this training. This wasn't a small group. Evergreen PTA could have had multiple devices signed into the meeting. The virtual audience could have been projected onto a wall or screen for the in-person audience to see. And one or more smartphones or digital cameras signed into the virtual platform could have been aimed at the in-person audience so the virtual audience could see them. Tripods help with this and provide inexpensive versatility. Let's address the sound issue. Evergreen PTA used a lavalier or lapel mic for their speaker. You can do that too. If you need to purchase one, most PTAs will need to spend no more than $60 to find a decent quality Bluetooth lapel mic. Evergreen PTA could have helped everyone hear each other by using a speakerphone. If your PTA's venue does not have one, you can purchase a Bluetooth version for less than $150. Evergreen PTA could have connected speakers to the event laptop and used a speaker to amplify the virtual audience voices and a microphone to pick up the in-person audience for the virtual attendees to hear. Your PTA can purchase this equipment also. Sound is very important in a hybrid setting. People may forgive poor video quality, but they want to be able to hear each other and talk to each other. And remember, hearing each other is an important requirement for a meeting according to parliamentary rules. In this scenario, Evergreen PTA held an event, not a business meeting. They didn't need to plan for voting. You may need to do that. There are lots of hybrid voting options. Members, virtual and in-person, can vote by filling out an online form in your Google Drive or Box. They can vote by voice, vote by Zoom poll if they're all signed in, vote by raising a real or virtual hand, or vote using a cloud-based solution like Election Runner or Simply Voting. The important thing is that your PTA creates a process that ensures only eligible voters are counted. And be sure to think about this process and explain it to your members. And there's more about that in the facilitation portion of this training. And if you do use a virtual platform, be sure that only qualified voters receive the link to the platform. Do your homework and select the right technology that works for your PTA and its situation. And again, it's okay to pay a fee to use an online voting platform. This may sound complicated, but please don't worry. There's a ton of information available for you out there. The handout contains links to step-by-step videos and articles. As a matter of fact, this training was built on resources found on the internet. If your PTA decides to make a purchase for technology or subscriptions, please remember that technology belongs to the PTA and not to any one person. And if purchasing is not a budgetary option, find a sponsor. And please view part 2 of this training because there are many ways that good facilitation can overcome less than perfect technology. Hybrid facilitation is just as important as hybrid technology. Your PTA has lots of options and the handout will help you make some decisions. One of them is your venue. Finding a hybrid-ready venue, even if your PTA has to pay for the space, may make more sense. Remember, your PTA is not tied to a school building. Think about other facilities available to you, conference rooms, classrooms, or meeting spaces at local businesses, supermarkets, big box stores, colleges or universities. Think about public buildings like libraries and community centers that may also work. Don't make your hybrid decisions based on a single school building. Use your connections and reach out to your members who may have hybrid experience in their work lives who could be of help to you. Associations and corporations are finding ways to conduct their business in a hybrid setting. The bottom line is hybrid is here to stay, and your PTA community needs it now more than ever. So educate yourself, identify options, and find solutions that meet your community's needs. You can do this. Hybrid shows that your PTA cares about its community and is committed to inclusion. And hybrid can help your PTA grow and find new members and leaders. Your PTA can become champions in the hybrid world. If you want to learn how to facilitate a hybrid event so that everyone feels included and how to deal with technology challenges that might occur, be sure to view part 2 of this training, which focuses on facilitation tips and strategies. We strongly encourage you to do so. Preparation and planning are the key to hybrid facilitation, and your PTA can do it well.